Hello everybody. Next up we face Leeds United. Kick-off on Wednesday is 7:45 p.m. up at Elland Road. And don't get me started on the trains, which of course are strike-bound. So Leeds then, they currently sit in 14th place with 16 points from as many games this season. That's 3 places, 2 points and 3 goals of goal difference above us, in a league where the bottom 7 places are covered by a mere 5 points at the time of writing. Leeds would be in a worse state but for a 2-match streak at the end of October, beginning of November, which saw them win 2-1 up at Liverpool and 4-1 at home to Bournemouth. However, there is a lot of red ink on their ledger. Since the Qatar Tourist Authority sponsored break, they were beaten 3-1 at home by Manchester City and managed to salvage a point out of a one-sided 0-0 draw at Newcastle, where keeper Meslier put in a bit of a shift. They do have a game in hand over us, so, and this is a hint to the manager and players in case it hasn't already occurred, this would be a really good game to get something out of. Thanks to the break, we're now playing a team with signings from both transfer windows to look at, something that Daisy's really thrilled at, as you can imagine. Boss Jesse March has spent a lot of time in the employ of that fizzy drinks multinational corporation that owns clubs in New York, Salzburg and Leipzig and probably many other places. So it may come as no surprise that no fewer than 4 players have been brought in for those sources over the 2 windows so far. Brendan Aronson was the first arrival, coming in from Fizzy Drink Salzburg for a reported fee of £24.7 million. He started out his career in America with a team called Bethlehem Steel, who will disappoint me intensely when I discover that their home ground is not called The Stable. Aronson was part of the US squad in Qatar, playing all 3 group games, including the snoozefest 0-0 draw against England. He was joined by his erstwhile clubmate, Rasmus Christensen. Salzburg received £10 million for the Danish right-back, who, like his teammate, spent much of the break getting some sun on his back as the Danes crashed out of the group stage, amassing just the 1 point from their 3 games, which of course was 1 more point than Scotland, I suppose. The third arrival from Salzburg is clearing immigration and customs as we speak. They paid around £11 million for Maximilian Wober. Wober, like Christensen, the Australian international, operates generally as a fullback, though with his signing being subject to work permit confirmation, his arrival may have come just too late for him to play any part on Wednesday. The 4th player to arrive from the fizzy drinks stable was Tyler Adams. The midfielder came in from Leipzig, having previously turned out for the New York Fizzies. The Germans were £20 million better off as a result of the deal for the American international, who was the youngest to captain a side in Qatar. His bio lists him as having attended school at a place called Wappingers Falls, which is surely one of those made-up place names that they used to lay the other side of the hills in the Waltons. They did shop outside the soda bar during the summer. Mark Roca came in from Bayern, where despite signing a 5-year contract in 2020, he was rather on the outside of the squad, making just the 15 league appearances in the Bundesliga during his 2-year spell there. Starting out at Espanyol, Roca has been capped at various age levels for Spain, and he also has 1 cap for the not very official Catalonian national side. He operates in central midfield as a rule. Feyenoord was the next port of call, where they shelled out £21 million on Colombian winger Luis Sinisterra. He managed 12 goals in 30 games this last season in Rotterdam, and has picked up 2 in 9 since his arrival at Elland Road. However, injuries likely to preclude his appearance on Wednesday. We should note that amongst the youngsters signed this season and filed away in the one for the future box was a certain Sonny Perkins. The striker disappeared north, having turned down a new contract offer from Gold, Sullivan and Brady. A compensation fee was due for the player, but it's in the nature of these things that they rarely reflect a realistic value. Having said that, he hasn't made much of a dent on the first team up there and is allegedly a Tottenham supporter anyway. I mean, we may not be very good at the moment, but there are certain standards that need to be maintained, even so. On now to a look at the wild and wacky world of association football, and sadly for the 2nd week running we must concentrate on the Celestial Departure Lounge. Following the passing of George Cohen recently, the whole world mourned the loss of Pelé to cancer. With all the recent debate over whether Ronaldo or Messi merit any theoretical title of greatest of all time, Pelé's passing was a reminder that anyone who mentions either of those two in the same breath as Edson Arantes do Nascimento simply hasn't got a clue. Youngsters, simply look up some of his greatest moments on YouTube. Look and learn. From the sublime we move on to the ridiculous, and that being Friday's defeat at home to Brentford. The first half we were so dominant that it beggared belief that we were actually 2-0 down at half-time. Unfortunately, the second half we were so obvious in everything that we did, it turned into a comfortable evening for the visitors. It seemed not to occur to anyone on or off the pitch that our better moments were coming as a result of players running directly at a backtracking defence, so we stopped doing it. The 3 or 5 at the back didn't seem to achieve anything either, and the inclusion of Emerson at left wing back seemed to have the sole purpose of getting in the way of anything quick that might happen down that side. And he really ought to have come off a lot earlier, irrespective of his form. It was a system that wasn't working. As for our opponents, they proved that the cynicism they displayed in the corresponding match last season was no one-off. They seemed to have engaged a vocal coach to enable good use of the diaphragm in projecting the little scream that seemed de rigueur every time there was a challenge. To be fair, Ref England didn't fall for many of their antics, though it was still a major surprise when Tony went down at the end of the match with what turned out to be a genuine injury, requiring a stretcher and buggy to get back to base. Still, if the injury is serious, it will at least have been handily timed, coinciding as it is likely to do with an expected hefty ban for those 262 betting charges. Still, on the bright side, Auger is likely to be available to play some part in proceedings in a defence that's committing far too many silly errors these days. If you're not scoring, the last thing you need to do is to go 2-0 down. Zuma and Cornet are still out, the latter seemingly baffling medical science with this mystery calf injury for which the effects of each minor setback seem to be measured in weeks and months rather than just days. Then we've got Antonio. Now, his introduction on Friday night was unique in that he didn't actually replace Scamacca for once. For a moment it looked like we might have a combination of strikers that might have threatened difficulties for our opponents. However, despite the early promise, we returned to playing precisely the same way as we'd done all through the match, as if we'd only got the one striker. Now, Antonio's had a spot of the flu or COVID or something and faces a late fitness test for this one. Prediction? Well, if ever there was a must-win match, this is it. A win reduces the impact of their game in hand, and in terms of goal difference, the effect of each goal is effectively doubled. We need to play like we did early in the first half against Brentford, with the exception of the stupid errors at the back. Crucially, I think we need to get the first goal because our confidence when behind at the moment seems to be shot to pieces. We need to stop this rot. 6 in a row is not something that bodes well for the manager. And I think we'll do that, albeit in the least satisfactory manner possible. So the £2.50 that I was going to spend on yet another black arm van for Liverpool's latest result will instead be going on a wager for a match to be a score draw. Mr. Winston, please stick me down for 1-1, please. Enjoy the game.
We're here in the offices of a Late Late Show with the host of a Late Late Show, James Corden.
Hi.
Big West Ham fan.
Yes. And big knees up Mother Brown, man.
Yeah.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you irons.